Okay, guys, day 4 of the 2-year-old journey with Kate. She's saddled and ground tied really good, so I'm just going to go right into liberty work. And I always like to go the same way so I can see how far she goes before she starts to buck. And it was about, I'd say, a quarter or a third of what was in her yesterday. But as I'm sending her around, I'm also and always trying to make her more sensitive to the scent. So you can see she's late, so you can see how far I take her. Right there's the first release. And then she kind of comes off the rail, so I just take enough of a feel of her to put her back on the rail so I can have a restart. And I do the same thing, make sure it's 4 seconds, and I take her further this time. Take her over to there, and just think about that. And then she tries to look to the outside, so I got to kind of take a feel of her, and so I just check to see if she's more responsive, and she is. So then she gets an earlier release. Now I would like for her to just put her head down, because that's normally what would happen after she got 2 late releases, and then an early release should be a clear pattern of what I was looking for. But because she didn't really give me that, it makes me think that teaching was not the issue. Maybe it's just a dominant issue that she's challenging there. So I want to finish with her accepting, showing me that acceptance in the pecking order. And she put her head down, but it wasn't genuine, because when they go down and right back up again, I just find they're not really genuine about it. So I just keep asking for her to be sensitive around it and around the pin until she shows there. So she goes down and stays down. It's fast forwarded, so it looked quicker than it was. You're on ×2 now. So that's the reason I switched sides. I got her more sensitive. I made sure all the buck was out of her. And then I finished with getting her to accept that, sending her with no buck to the left and surrendering that. And so she showed it to me on this side again. She's been really good on that side, so I call that the end of liberty, which was way less than yesterday. So hopefully the long-term patterns are going to kick in, and she'll just get better at that. So I'm going to do move off the hand here, and what I'm working on is that she gets better at the crossover, so her legs and her feet are softer. She's a little bit tight in her legs. You can see how jerky she's, even on fast forward, you can see she's pretty jerky in her legs. I'd like that to be more free flowing and crossing over with bigger crossover steps. And it's normal that when you start doing move off the hand with the saddle on them, it tightens them up. So, but I'm not finding any resistance in her neck and her nose, or very little, like she comes to it right away. And I'm just continuing with the move off the hand and seeing how much better I can get her at staying smooth and following a feel, making sure she lets me, let go over and then grab her without any resistance. And I turn on and find a little bit of resistance there, so I work on that a bit. It's going to be an ongoing thing, and that's the whole purpose of turning on the prep the way we do, and holding until it's the last thing. It's the first thing you do when you turn on. It's the last thing you do is turn off. So by presenting that to her gives her an opportunity to show us some resistance that's hiding in there. Then I just want to go back and work on some desensitizing. I've talked about it before, but as you can see it here, it's important that when I desensitize or come out of the blue, I want to be able to take a feel of her halter shank, make sure she gives me her neck and maybe even her nose. Like the neck was the the strongest thing. See how it's her neck that she's really getting tight in. So if I can get the neck to soften, you just want to pinpoint the body parts. So you can get the neck to soften, usually the rest will soften as well. So I always want to be mindful of when I'm training my horse. I always want to, if things have been pretty quiet and they do something really nice, I want to bring some out of the blue pressure to teach that same lesson, but under some stressful energy or high energy. Just so I'm teaching her to handle pressure right in that feel-good moment when she just learned a lesson. So I walk up there and bring that flag fast, like I bring it up at her really fast. And I'm laughing right now because my daughter said, holy cow, she was running the camera. She said that looked like it was straight out of a horror movie. And I did bring it fast, but you can see I got no reaction from her. I almost need to move my flag. She's to a new location. She's getting on to me. And once I teach her to come to the fence, it's the same thing. Really watch my angle, guys. So I really keep my angle straight out in front of me, so that keeps her head right underneath my left hand, which is going to put her saddle, right underneath me. And when she's good about that, I just desensitize again. It's another one of them feel-good moments, so she just learned where the answer was. And I think that was probably the second time that I brought her to the fence. I like to do it once before they're saddled and maul them down. So then typically what I do is I usually get my rope measured. I always like to get my stick in my hand, so if I'm holding on, the excess rope is in my right hand, I like the stick to be in my left hand. Then I always like to get my right stirrup, then hold the rope on the right. Once I measure my line, hold my lariat on that side, because when you first bend a horse off for the first ride, if they're going to do something, it's right when you bend them around, bend them and send them right here, that they will, if they're going to tighten up and scoot out of there or do anything. So if I'm holding on to that rope and she scoots, I'm not going to pull on her face, right? I want to make all my balance in my seat, maybe my knees if I need to, or that right hand on the rope. I don't want to balance on her face ever. And that's a big reason why I always tell people to hold on, because some people have been taught you never should hold on to the horn. It's a bad habit to get into. And man, I don't know whoever said that, but falling off is a way worse habit than holding on to the horn. But she got a little tight, so I'm just rubbing her down with that stick and desensitizing once I get that bend. And then I'm just after the nose right here. My very first lesson, the very first pattern, and I'm talking you through that here, is when I pick up on that rein, I'm looking for softness. So the first lesson every day is I'm going to find out if there's any resistance in her face, and if there is resistance, I'm going to move her feet. I find talking to the brain like that allows me to narrow down the amount of times I bend her, because I'm teaching her. I'm not just flexing her 35 times from side to side trying to soften her up by doing lateral flexion. It's more talking to the brain, so she really understands if she wants to stop moving them feet in the future. And that's the most important thing to me, is teach for the future. Teach them so I don't got to keep doing them lateral flexion. So she's telling me right there, see how I give her that prep, how soft she was right there. So she told me right there, I don't need to bend her on that side again for that. I can bend her for something else, but not for that reason. So I got her, let's say I found a little resistance. As soon as I pulled on her, she poked her nose out. So that was the reason I started moving her feet. And it's the same on the ground when I'm doing send off the hand, right? If I'm moving my horse and she's perfect, she's stepping around there really nice, I don't find any resistance, I'll try to speed her up, because almost always when you ask for a little more speed, you're going to find some resistance that you can work on and take it away. And so when it comes to getting a horse soft, you got to go looking for it to find it and get rid of it, or it never goes away. It's like spooking them. If I tiptoe around them and never desensitize them, they're always going to be a little flinchy. And it's a topic I'm going to talk about lots in these journeys, but now's not the time. It's more about the patterns of her there, giving her face. See how she gave her nose right there? That was a big release. And I'm just waiting for that. She's stiffer on the right. As you can see, she's had to move away more. There we go. Now she gave it to me, but she kind of threw it at me, and her nose was kind of poked. Now see how she ripped her head away? That's resistance right there. When she ripped her head away. Now, in the future, I'm gonna restart for that exact thing. But because it was her first time, I'm gonna give her some time and go right back to the beginning and just see what happened. There, see, she ripped it away again. But again, it's still not nice because she ripped it away. So I'm gonna try again. Oh, and catch her again. This all has to do with that spotting that resistance. So I'm desensitizing a little bit because she's a little bit bothered on that side. I found her flinch, and so I think it's still there, but I just decided that was enough. That was enough. I'm gonna go on to the other side. Now this side, if she's so she was super soft. So now I'm gonna teach her to move off my leg. So you can see my leg is gonna start pedaling her, my left leg. And I just call it fanning. When I find it's easier to deliver small pressures with my leg if I'm kind of moving it. See, I'm just softly fanning her, and then I'll do that for 4 seconds before I start using my taps. And then I'm going to progress to just barely using that leg slow and steady, like stepping on a gas pedal. But in the beginning, especially on the first ride, I like to fan them, and I'll fan them for a while, and I'll fan them in different situations just because it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to get them to lock up on your leg, because that's what happens. Steady pressure, they lock up to. So it's easier for me, is what I meant to say. It's easier for me to keep them going if I'm pedaling them or if I'm fanning them with my leg, because even though I'm fanning them, it's not mundane pressure. I'm slowly building that energy to send her. And then I'm just looking for the softness. If she gets way real soft and then she comes down when I take the leg away, I'm kind of teaching her to stop when the leg comes off, hold for 4, and turn her loose. And then I must have nailed it because she chewed right away. And now she's even thinking about going back there again. So I'm going to call that good and go to this other side. This right side has been giving me a little more grief. So, she's pretty good. Now you can see my legs start to fan on her. It's still ×2. Like most of this lesson has been sped up in double time, just to keep it down. My lessons with her are about 25 to 30 minutes of training time, and then she gets tied up prior to working her and tied up after I work her for a while. So she hangs out at the round pen and watches her stall mates get trained on. So yeah, I'm just working on this side too, and I'm doing 2 things now. I'm pedaling her with my leg, so I'm teaching her to move off my leg. That's the focus. And I'm doing it until she softens her face again. But the focus is more on my leg, because my leg was the first thing that I started working with as soon as I got her bent. Like I bent her, and then as soon as she got off the contact, then my leg came on after she was paused and still like that. I'm real fussy about not giving 2 aids at the same time until I have broken down each aid independently. So back to the beginning, when I stepped on her, my leg was not in the picture at all. All I did was pick up on my line, and as soon as I found resistance, my tap of my stick was on her. She didn't feel nothing from my leg. She just felt touch and tap. So that's what it's been from move off the hand. So she already knows that. She got tight right there, so I'm just moving her a little more, and I'm probably going to be desensitizing with that whip. Yeah, you can see me rubbing her down with that whip, just because she flinched right there. So when she flinched, instead of me backing off right there, I would have missed a good opportunity to add some more speed to what I'm doing, just like move off the hand, right? So if you get used to, once you got a gas pedal on them, and that's follow a feel, as soon as they do anything that you don't want to have happen in the future, just if you're not moving them, start moving them. If you're already moving them, speed them up a notch. If you speed them up and you find some more resistance, speed them up another notch. And that's the idea of having them follow a feel, so you have multiple gears, multiple speeds. Not just go or stop, not just fast or stop. You got every gear in your transmission going up. So about 5 gears at a walk. I try to imagine having 5 gears at a walk, 5 at a trot, and 10 at a trot, and then 25 or 30 when we get to the lope. And so I'm just starting to fan her with both legs. So that's different for her, and I'm asking her to line out and go somewhere. So I kind of give her some line and let her go when she's out on the rail, and then I circle her and let her go. As long as she stays on the rail, it's all good. She comes off the rail, I speed her up a little bit, And then I can slow down a little bit and speed her up a little bit or circle her. I'm doing something, whether I'm speeding her up or I'm circling her. And when she's in the middle, when she goes out on the rail, she finds the honey. And that's how you get to the point quickly where you can just step on and drop my hand and see how long it takes for her to go find that rail, walk, trot, and lope on the rail without me touching her. She don't get so close she bumps my leg to the rail. She doesn't come away from the rail. She just kind of goes on autopilot, and then I'm just, how hard I'm riding and my rhythm is how fast she goes. You know, once they get to that point, now loping a pretty circle is a piece of cake. So you can see she's still coming in a little bit, so I'm speeding her up a little bit and speeding her up a little bit, and then I slow down a little bit. There you go. Now see how she found it? She got way better. So I pitch her some slack. See, I give her more slack, let her slow down so I can start speeding her up when she comes. Ooh, that was a good one. She thought about going to the inside, and I just threatened to speed her up, and it changed her mind. And yeah, those are really cool things. Then again, she found it, and then I just slow down out there. And all I'm doing is just trying to get her to stay on the rail, or she's going to go the other direction. So when I speed her up, now if she's going to go this other direction, I just keep her to trot. And you'll see how different she is going to the right than she is the left. And no secret to that. We've watched that for 2 days, eh, guys? As soon as we go to the right, she picks it up right away. So same thing's happening here. As soon as I got satisfied that she stayed out on the rail to my left, and then I still correct her when she come off the rail, but I let her go ahead and go to the right and just get her right side done. And she sees going to the right is, again, it's the sweet spot. She stays on the rail all the way around there. Hasn't given me a reason to work on her, so I call that the end of the day. I climb off on the fence and yeah, go grab another one. So hope that all made sense, guys. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.